Live from Providence, Rhode Island, alongside Kevin Connelly, just a few blocks down the road. I'm Joey Jarzynka. We're up by the State House, by the state capitol, as you can see. Here in Providence, Rhode Island, we are previewing the St. John's and Providence contest tomorrow at 12 p.m. on Fox. This whole pre-record is actually going to be coming out around 10 a.m. tomorrow. So, or Saturday, or, if you're watching it today, if you will. Good morning. But, we got that in the background. It is nighttime. Kev, good to see you, sir. How are things with you on your side of Providence? Just, like I said, a couple of blocks that way.
Everything is great. Easy drive up, no traffic. Able to clean off some snow back in New York, New Jersey. I guess now earlier yesterday. And it was smooth sailing all the way up the Hutch to 95 and here to Providence.
Unbelievable stuff. Yeah, it was a quick 3-hour drive from Long Island as well. So, we're just extremely glad to be here amidst everything with COVID going on. And as of right now, the game is going to be proceeding as scheduled at the Dunkin' Donuts Center, about a mile away from where we are here. Providence and St. John's are going to be going head-to-head. St. John's won their Big East opener by a score of 89-84 against the DePaul Blue Demons. And, Kev, we got a chance to see a different DePaul team that you and I think we've ever seen, dating back to when we were students.
Yeah, that was a complete 180 than what we've seen from DePaul in the past, 4 or 5 years maybe. Tony Stubberfield, they're going to be good. They might struggle this year. They might not rattle off 7-8 wins in the conference, but in a couple of years, that DePaul team, they're going to be good. They're definitely on the right track with their new head coach.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And the best part was, of course, for the St. John's faithful out there, Julian Champagnie, 34 points, 16 rebounds, and, of course, 3 blocks. But I think the best thing here to speak about this is that Julian Champagnie had not played in nearly a month since the Colgate contest due to COVID. And just in that morning of the Pitt contest on December 18th, which was exactly 6 days after that Colgate game, I remember you and we were having a little texting conversation saying, oh boy, he's out due to COVID. He makes a monumental return and single-handedly puts his team ahead by 5 in this conference opener. But you cannot put aside the likes of Dylan Adewusu as well. Start off with Jules, though, Kev.
Champagnie, I mean, he was phenomenal. I think earlier that day, the midseason Wooden Award watch list came out. And, I mean, you see that list, and then you watch him, and if you're telling me there's 25 players in the country better than him, you're going to have to sell me a bridge in Long Island, because I'm not really buying it. But, I mean, he was special. I mean, he had everything inside, outside, defensively, and yeah, he had 34. Don't forget the 16 rebounds he pulled down too. I mean, he got it done every which way, and it did make it much more that impressive that he hadn't played a game in 24 days before that. The one thing I will say is that he was just about the only one that was allowed to be on the court from about Christmas on, because he had already had COVID and went through his 10-day quarantine. So he had a lot of time to work out on his own and get his conditioning up and ready to go. But nonetheless, that was a special performance. And Adewusu, I mean, his points kind of flew under the radar until that big 3 at the end, because that possession was going downhill, and it was going downhill quickly. And he took a step back 3 that put the game out of reach.
See, Kev, now the thing that a lot of St. John's fans, including myself, would think is that, we got a chance to see DePaul continue to just come back little by little and really put a lot of pressure on St. John's down the stretch. And if you look also at the second half field goal percentage from DePaul, they shot a 54.5% clip against this Providence club that comes in ranked number 16th in the nation, according to the Associated Press poll. They have to do some different things on the defensive side of the ball, Kev. What is the one that you see that really glares out to you or sticks out to you, if you will?
It's defending the 3-point line. That's where they've been susceptible all year, and that's where you're typically susceptible in a press. I mean, if you break that press, normally someone's going to be a 3-point shooter is going to be open in the corner, and for most of these guys at this level, that's just about a layup. So they have to find a way to defend the 3-point ball better, and it starts against Providence. And I guess it helps that one of their better 3-point shooters is not expected to play on Saturday.
Yeah, and you brought up AJ Reeves, who has a broken finger. This is massive for them. And when you look at Providence, you think to yourself, okay, well, there's a few others by the name of Noah Horkler as one that has stuck out to a lot of fans in the New York area. And we're not only talking about the St. John's fans, we're talking about the Seton Hall fans as well, because we got a chance to see Seton Hall. They were upset by this Providence team, which eventually put Providence in that. Moving them up the ladder in the Associated Press poll. And Noah Horkler, Kev, in that first half of that contest, shot 4 of 6 from distance, and he was really lights out the entire time on both sides of the ball as well. Does this St. John's team have a chance against this Providence team, and especially more specifically against Noah Horkler? How do they defend him?
Well, it becomes a lot easier to defend him with AJ Reeves out, because AJ Reeves on the court, you can't leave his side. So that would leave potential Horkler being open in the corner for threes, and he buries them, because don't forget, you have Nate Watson down low, and anytime he gets a touch in the paint, you have to bring a double because he's that good. So with Reeves being out, you can pay more attention now to Horkler, and I don't expect him to get as hot. Now, granted, he is a very good shooter and could get hot no matter how many people are on him. But I think it's a lot easier to defend him and to defend this Providence team with Reeves out, because you're still going to bring that double for Watson anytime he gets 2 feet in the paint, anytime he puts the ball on the deck on the block. And I would think that a good person to try and bring that double with is if Joel Soriano's his primary defender, bring Dylan Adewusu over to try and double him, because we saw in that DePaul game, there was a couple switches where Adewusu got switched on to a forward and they couldn't get by him. Even saw it last year a couple times with Sandru Mamukelishvili, and he had 6 inches on him. Dylan Adewusu, he's built like a bulldog. I mean, I think he's only listed at 6'4", but I mean, he is he's like a bowling ball. You can't get by him, and he's a really unique weapon for Mike Anderson to use on defense.
Yeah, you brought up also about Joel Soriano. I want to get back to him as well, because against DePaul, he had 9 boards, 4 points, 3 assists, in addition to 3 blocks as well. Arguably his best game as a St. John's Red Storm student athlete. Kev, what did you see from Joel Soriano that was not only really good, but also can move forward, or kind of be I guess brought into the next game against Providence?
Well, first let's go back to that Pittsburgh game, because he was really good in that Pittsburgh game too. And then he was one of the St. John's players that we know tested positive for COVID right before that scheduled game against Butler. But he carried that same momentum into the DePaul game. So I think that momentum, that confidence carried over. But the biggest thing for him, he got a dunk early. That'll lift your spirits. That'll get you going a little bit. But I think his defense was vastly improved. He wasn't afraid to mix it up on the glass. And then at the end, he didn't get minutes because St. John's was looking for like a Wheeler or a Naiwe at the 5 that could switch 1 through 5 on defense. Soriano's not that type of player. And I wouldn't anticipate seeing Soriano more than Watson's minutes for Providence, as that makes sense. I think St. John's could try to go small when Watson comes out of the game, albeit that's not often on this Providence team. But yes, Saturday's a huge game for Joel Soriano. We've already seen him against the bigs of Trace Jackson Davis and David McCormick for Indiana and Kansas, respectively, and it didn't go too well. Now he gets a similar test with Nate Watson, and we'll see how it goes. His first 2 didn't pass with flying colors. We'll see another challenge for him on Saturday. We'll see how he does.
Kev, with Posh Alexander, we got a chance to see him head to the locker room, possibly re-aggravated his calf. What did you see from courtside that you can update the fans about? Is he okay? Will he be at full strength against Providence this afternoon?
Yeah, it looked like cramping to me. At first, when he started grabbing that calf area, you thought he re-injured it. But then I was watching him, and he was eating those like Gatorade chews almost. And then, and then they were mixing up like some type of drink in a Gatorade cup, and he was guzzling that down. So it looked like cramping to me. Unfortunately, no one asked Mike Anderson about it in the post-game press conference. That dawned on me earlier today. I was like, wait, no one asked him about that. I guess that's a bad job on everyone that was in the press conference. But when he came back in the game, he really didn't have a limp or anything. So it just looked like it was cramping to me. I expect him to play tomorrow, and I expect him to start tomorrow, something he didn't do against DePaul. And I think that might have been for disciplinary actions. I think he might have been.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah, because he played his regular minutes and everything. I think he might have been tardy to a practice or a meeting or something, and he just didn't get the start against DePaul.
It's very funny because we got a chance to see Aaron Wheeler get that start. And Kev, you brought that up. I was sitting next to Daily Dose of Hoops' Jaden Daly and graduate assistant in the director of the multimedia department in Kyle Byrne. And we both looked at each other and we were just like, is that a typo? Is that something, something up? But we had the same exact reaction where it might have been because he then eventually came in and everyone pretty much forgot about it. Kev, we got a chance to see, obviously, Naiwi play in an N95 mask. And listen, we're not athletes. I got to tell you, this is just a quick little comment here. That's got to be so impressive because, I can't even walk from here to the State House without dying in one of those things. That's really amazing to see this man be able to run up and down the court for 8.5 minutes with one of those masks on. Now I want to move forward with some of the game updates, if you will, with Rafael Pinzon, who did not play. Steph Smith, who did not play, was supposed to be, he wore another N95 mask, maybe a part of that new CDC guideline. Maybe he had COVID as well. Mike Anderson did tell us when you and I were there, a coach's decision. And then also Tariq Coburn, the Hofstra transfer, a back injury. Kev, what do you know now about tomorrow's contest for those three? Will they be in the lineup? Are they going to be held out again in street clothes? What do you expect?
Well, first, I guess I'll start with Steph Smith. I mean, Mike Anderson said he was available. I don't really think he was available because you saw him on the bench wearing that N95 mask. I think Naiwi played out of necessity because they didn't have that many bigs down low. And again, he only played 8.5 minutes. So I think that was just more out of necessity that he had to play with the mask. And I think, say, if Posh Alexander or Adewusu or Mathis got in foul trouble, then I think they might have had to go to Smith. But I think pending when that 5 days are up, I think you could see him tomorrow. I would be surprised if he didn't play again. Pinzon, I guess it's all about his conditioning, given that he's out of COVID protocol, but he was on the bench with the mask. So he's on the bench. That means he's out of the protocol. I guess it all depends how much the staff thinks he's back up to game shape and where his conditioning is. And Coburn, it's a back injury. That's one of those day-to-day things. He aggravated it. He hurt it in individual workouts and practices during the COVID pause. So I'd expect to see Smith and Pinzon tomorrow. I'm not so sure about Coburn.
Kev, you and I are obviously here in Providence. We'll be seeing each other tomorrow, covering the contest for each of our respective sites. For you, of course, fan-sided Storm the Paint, my own, or our own, rather, the Eastern Observer. Here on the Primetime Rundown Instant Reaction Series. Kev, we're going to let you go in just a moment, but one final question for you. Give us your score prediction for tomorrow's contest.
On the road, it's tough. It's a tough ask for St. John's, any Big East team, to win on the road. I think St. John's does get an advantage with Reeves being out, but I think Providence, after getting drilled, absolutely drilled last time out by Marquette, I think they'll respond at home. I won't give you a score, but I'll say Providence wins by 8.
Okay, that's definitely fair. Also, the opening line for tomorrow as well is St. John's is an underdog, 4.5 points. So that's definitely something for all these sports bettors, sports betting fans out there. 4.5, St. John's is the underdog. For Kevin Connelly from Fansided Storm of the Paint, I'm Joey Jarzynka. We are live from Providence. We cannot thank you all enough for joining us on the Primetime Rundown Instant Reaction Series. We'll see you next time.